Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning. How are we doing?
We are the champions. No time. Skip, they'll never get old.
You don't know Queen. You have no idea.
I do.
Oh, stop it. By the way, I saw a play in last night's Tuesday night football game that reminded me of what I do to you every day on Undisputed. If we could see that, there it is. That's what I do to you.
That's a lot of tricep work.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, poor Josh Norman. He just took his soul.
What do you think Josh Norman's thinking at this
Took his
very
soul
moment?
away. Oh, Josh. We love you, Josh.
Yeah, that one doesn't feel good.
Skip, how you doing this morning?
Well, I'm doing great. I can't wait for this.
Man, I hadn't come down to this emotional and physical.
I know. You finally won one.
Don't do that,
Yep.
Skip. Skip, let me have my
As
moment.
cheap as it was.
Don't do that,
A
Skip.
cubic zirconia championship. Way to go.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Shannon, would you like to start singing again for us?
That
Because we
has to
actually
do with- that
are
has to
going
do
to
with
talk about the Lakers and the championship. And, of course, LeBron James. He has a message for maybe Skip here. LeBron won his fourth title on Sunday, and he says he knows the critics will still be as harsh as ever, but he won't back down. The caption of his latest Instagram post reads, quote, "Up in smoke. What they gonna say now? I know they'll make up another criteria that nobody else has ever had in the history of the game." But guess what, though? Bring it on, please. Heavy is the head that holds the crown, they say. Let's get it. Hashtag the kid from Akron. Hashtag revenge season complete. Shannon, well, how do you think LeBron keeps firing back at the critics?
Because his doubters keep growing louder and louder. When he first signed with the Lakers, Skip Bayless was one of the first ones to say the man did not come to compete for titles anymore. He came to, instead of being Michael Jordan, he came to be Michael B. Jordan.
Yep.
Our very Rob Parker said he came to be a 6'9" Kevin Hart. There were others on other networks that were saying he would win an Emmy before he won a title. There were people saying that I would rather have Kawhi Leonard than Paul George than have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, considering LeBron James' track record. The doubters have always been there, and as he said, they will come up with another criteria. Mike never had to endure this. LeBron James drops 40 points in a Game 7. They win. Michael Jordan never went to a Game 7. No one has ever said when Magic won a title and he beat the Sixers or he beat the Pistons, no one said the only reason that Magic won is because Bird got knocked off before he got there. Nobody said when Larry Bird won, it was because the Rockets had knocked off the Lakers before they got there. Nobody says that. But they said that about this guy. Your guy is the most notorious guy for creating things that did not exist. What the hell do you think The Last Dance was? It was about all of you guys that don't think that I'm the greatest basketball player of all time. Here you go.
And you know what? Everybody said, you're right. Thank you for reminding or enlightening us. Thank you.
Can I have the floor? Thank you. I appreciate that, Skip. That is so kind of you to let me have the floor. What was this Hall of Fame speech about? He brought the guy that beat him out for the varsity squad. He brought him there to embarrass him, like it was his fault that he put him on the team, himself on the team. What about the high school coach? He did that too. His whole Hall of Fame speech was about those people that doubted him, that did not believe in him. He took that opportunity to eviscerate a guy that he didn't even invite, Jerry Krause. He didn't invite him. Well, he didn't invite him, but he came, and he asked the man in the audience, how did you get here? I didn't invite you. Really, Skip? The doubt that LeBron James has had to endure, Skip, he's been a household name since the age of 16 or 17 when they put him on Sports Illustrated, and they dubbed him the chosen one. So the expectations were there. No one has entered the NBA in the history of the game with more expectations than LeBron James. And it is to my estimation that he's exceeded the expectations that we had for him. But no matter what he does, the doubt is still there. Nobody asked anything. This is not about Mike. But they make, well, man, Mike would have swept him. Really? He didn't sweep the Supersonics when he was up 3-0. He didn't sweep them. We didn't have these unrealistic expectations of Magic and Mike and Kareem. but we do him.
Could I ask you a quick question?
Sure you can.
Better team, this year's Heat or that Supersonics team? Better team.
The better
Stop it. Just stop it.
At the end of the day, you play who you play. You win if you win. You lose if you lose. It's as simple as that. But the doubt that LeBron James has had to endure, and the biggest difference between Mike and LeBron, take the basketball out of it, Skip. You know what it is. It's social media. Mike never had to deal with this. Mike never had 24-hour sports news cycle. He's never had this. He didn't have 200 million people with platforms. Basically, if you said something, now maybe the editor occasionally would, print letters that some fans would send in. But the way it is now, Skip, when you have all these social media platforms from Facebook to IG to Twitter, Mike never had to deal with that. This is what this man has to deal with. And those that played the game, that know the game, still come up and try to criticize what he's done. He did it. He did it his way, and he's still going.
You finished?
Yeah.
Good. It's finally my turn. Shannon Sharp.
Yes.
Or as I call you, Le Shannon Sharp. Your man, LeBron, just can't help himself. I want him just to put a sock in it, just for one day.
Why?
Because he's not doing himself any favors in what he says or what he posts. Ever since the clock hit zeros the other night and you won your cubic zirconia championship over the Miami Heat, ever since that moment, he has been out of his mind and out of control, talking and posting about his doubters. Every time he brings it up, I cringe because he is publicly acknowledging all the doubt out there about him. Because there is a whole lot of doubt out there about LeBron James. And he is actually validating the doubt by acknowledging it. And he is actually disqualifying himself from the GOAT debate every time he publicly acknowledges and embraces all the doubt about him. You can't have doubts about the GOAT. And I'm back to my man, Michael Jordan. Trust me on this. I covered him. Nobody doubted him on the basketball court. He was universally acknowledged as by far the best player in the game, by far the greatest player ever, and by far the clutchest competitor we had ever seen in any sport. That was universally acknowledged. No doubts out there. Nobody anywhere had anything negative to say about Michael on the court. Off the court, you got me. Because a lot of people had big issues that he didn't have any issue with social or racial justice all the time he was playing, and obviously a lot of the time since he's been owning and operating a team in Charlotte. A lot of people had problems with his gambling off the court. A lot of people had problems with his nightlife off the court. He was not a role model. A lot of people had big problems with that. But when it came to basketball and only basketball, nobody had any problem because he was already universally acknowledged as the GOAT.
But here's the thing, Skip. The reasons why, because there was no one comparable that they were comparing him to. Nobody has a problem with LeBron on the court. It's just that when they say...
Well, no way, that's not true.
Hold on just a second. They're saying they're not saying that LeBron isn't great. LeBron doubters are saying, y'all still won't give me the credit that I deserve, even if you don't think I'm better than Mike. Give me the credit that I deserve. They gave Mike the credit that he deserved, even when he wasn't winning titles.
Okay, so now we have LeBron James on this new mission to damn the doubters. And it started right after the game when he said, and I want my damn respect.
He wrote it.
Shannon.
Stop playing with him.
GOATs don't have to ask for respect. GOATs don't have to basically start pleading and begging for respect, because the next thing I heard after the game in his sit-down interview with the media, he was talking about all the rumblings of doubt that he constantly hears. And then his post yesterday, what you gonna say now, right?
What are you gonna say, Skip?
He is acknowledging the skeptics, the critics, the doubters, because they're legion. They're everywhere about him There were none for Jordan. And
actually, there were, Skip. When he came back, when he did not look like himself in the finals against Orlando, there were doubts.
Okay, but that was just about, can he get back in shape? Does he care about playing basketball? Does he want to go back to baseball?
Skip.
He was obsessed with playing baseball.
This man made things that didn't even exist.
Okay, that's true. Look, I'm going to give you this. I got the Hall of Fame speech. I loved it. This was the man I covered that I got to know in Chicago who created doubt about himself because it didn't exist. He created feuds that were completely fictional with Vashawn Leonard of the Miami Heat. He destroyed him because he sort of tricked up this thing in his mind that he disrespected me in a game that Miami won big at Miami. And when he came to Chicago, it was destruction and devastation of that poor man. And then there are other games that you've talked about where and I saw him, John Calipari, when he was coaching the Nets, the first game back in New Jersey. He went off on him and he was pointing at him, and I think he scored 45 that night. And I asked Jordan after the game, what was that about? I said, do you even know John Calipari? He said, no, I've never talked to him before, but I don't like the way he struts up and down in front of the bench. So he's creating feuds in his mind to propel him. Right. And then that lasted, this is psycho stuff, but that's how goats are driven. We're going to talk about Tom Brady being psycho in a few minutes here. But that's what Jordan did to motivate himself. But it wasn't the world that was doubting him. He was fictionalizing doubts in his mind.
Well, Skip, with LeBron, though, Skip, the doubt has been there. And then you go to what? Eight straight finals, and then all of a sudden you tear your groin. We had never seen him get hurt because he was been indestructible. He misses the playoffs. So now doubt starts to creep in. Will he ever be the same? He's not the same guy. Kawhi Leonard has passed him. These guys have passed him. I'm like, wait a minute. The guy gets injured one time in a 16-year career, and now you're done with him? So he's like, hold on. And then, Skip, even as he's coming back, and he's giving you 25, 10, and 8, there's still doubt. Even though he and Anthony Davis, so there's doubt with Portland, there's doubt with Houston, there's doubt with Denver. Really? Really? He's like, what else, guys, do you want me to do? I give you 30, 12, and 9 in an NBA Finals. I averaged 27, 11, and 9 for the entirety of the playoffs. What more do you want? But it's still there.
Shannon, a year ago, when he first came to L.A., he went 28 and 27 as a starter with a young basketball team. I give you that. There's a lot of talent on that young basketball team.
He came alone.
Okay, but what happened?
He came alone.
Okay, well, he looked like he was alone on his own island because we had a blooper tape, and it wasn't even all the lowlights. It was an embarrassment how he didn't even care about playing that first year. It validated my premise. He wanted to be Michael B. Jordan.
Skip.
And I'm not going to call for the tape of the bloopers because you did just win a championship, so I will not disrespect that.
Let me ask you a question. Did Kawhi come to the Clippers alone, or did he make them mortgage their future to get a C-class actor in Paul George?
Did LeBron and Rich Paul not have a big, long-term goal of getting their client, Anthony Davis?
I don't know about
yes, they did.
All I'm saying,
they just needed a year to get him here. And LeBron took that first year off.
Skip.
Mentally off.
Skip.
He didn't care.
Let this sink in. He took the year off with 27, 8, and 8. There have only been Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Michael Jordan to have ever done an Oscar Robertson. Let that sink in.
28 and 27 was the record.
And all of them did that before their 27th
and then
birthday.
LeBron activated playoff mode. Isn't that what he calls it?
Yeah.
Playoff mode late in that year. And here I'm thinking, okay, at least they're going to squeeze in as the 8th seed. They didn't make it.
He got hurt, and there was the doubt. But after this year, Skip, okay, what doubt did you have during the regular season? What doubt has he given you in the playoffs? Why is there still doubt now? That's what he's asking. So what is the doubt coming from now?
Now we even have a lot of ex-players doubt him. Some ex-stars, some are just ex-journeyman players like Mo Spates last night. You see he trended much of the night? Okay, so he posted something, a meme. It was Kobe and Jordan, Jordan obviously smoking his cigar the way LeBron did the other night. they were celebrating three-peats.
Right.
And the line was, he was asking, don't kill the messenger. I'm just the messenger here, said Mo Spates. But he said, back then, we used to celebrate three-peats.
No, they did. Stop it.
And this was 4 of 10 for LeBron, right? Okay, 4 out of 10.
Do people realize Larry Bird never three-peated? Magic Johnson never three-peated.
But Kobe and Michael did.
Tim Duncan never went back-to-back. And he's the greatest power forward to ever leave. You see, that's the criteria that they're using. You're proving LeBron's point. When you make up this fictional criteria that in order to be transcendent and historically great, you got to do this when they never did it for the other greats.
Tim Duncan would have gone back-to-back if not for the greatest clutch shot I ever saw by Ray Allen, saving LeBron from a big L in the finals.
LeBron might have won 6 in a row. Had Kyrie and Kevin Love got hurt, and KD doesn't join Golden State. So who's to say that doesn't happen? But we can't do what ifs. We got to do what actually happened.
Okay, so what did we see just now actually happen? This is what I try to explain to you. LeBron is doubted because he is so doubtable. And we saw Game 2 versus the Denver Nuggets. LeBron James had the last play, by all accounts, called for him. And because he was 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter, 0 for 3 from 3, and 0 for 1 from the free throw line, he hid from the shot. If we could see it, he hid from the play. Well, he just hid. He stood there. Rondo said, I locked eyes with him. He did not move. And it took AD going all the way across to the far wing to take the desperate inbounds pass and channeled Kobe because they're wearing the Mamba jerseys. And he said, I thought I was Kobe. And he yelled Kobe as he banged it home. Okay? He saved LeBron. LeBron would have looked like a fool. He would have looked really weak.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, he would have. And it makes you say, what are you doing, LeBron? The play's called for you, and you don't even move? When he pats the ball, you don't move? You're hiding.
It worked out like a charm.
You're hiding. And then it brought us to Game 5 last Friday night. And again, you could argue he made the right basketball play. This was his night. This was the greatest finals game he's ever played.
But I thought 2018 was the greatest one.
No, this was.
So it was better than that 51, 8, and 8 point that he had against Golden State.
I thought so because what was he, 15 or 21 and 6 of 9 from 3?
But hold on. But the Heat got no business being there.
Okay, but he was lighting it up from everywhere. He was on fire.
Okay.
It was his night to close it out.
Okay.
And he drives down the right side of the lane, and Jimmy Butler comes late to challenge him, and at the last second, he turns wheels and kicks it back to a wide-open Danny Green. I got it. This would have been the biggest exclamation point you could have put on a great performance, closing out a championship, your 4th ring. If you just go up and power through Jimmy Butler, just go ahead and power up through it and go to the free throw line, and you're going to have to make, 1 free throw to tie and 2 to win.
Right.
Okay? Are you capable on that night? Yes, you're capable.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just shoot a little fall away off the glass. I know he's not great driving to his right, but you could have shown everybody, I got this one too.
He did show you. Did you not see that purpley white confetti fall down on Sunday? He showed you. Had they lost the series, you could harken back to that.
Doubtable.
Skip.
It's another one where you say, what are you doing? Because that's an exclamation point. Jordan's just going to shoot that shot the way he did at Utah in Game 6.
Why did he pass to Steve Kerr?
Because he called it in the huddle.
Skip,
he said, they're going to come double me, and I'll just kick it right to you. And he split the double team and kicked it.
LeBron didn't say that. He said, LeBron drove the ball. 4 guys came. Danny Green, this is your John Paxson. Danny Green, this is your Steve Kerr moment. Here we go. You see, Skip.
By the way, John Paxson was just a broken play. It wasn't called. It was the whole Phoenix Suns team they had to bring the ball full court. And Jordan's starting to come full court, and he sees like 4 Suns are attacking him, so he pushes it up court to Scotty, who then hits Ho Grant, who then kicks it out to John Paxson, who bombs the 3 at the buzzer. Okay.
But Skip, that's my point, is that he trusted his guy in that situation to do what he's done. Y'all make it seem, Skip, you make it seem like Danny Green, before Steph Curry, Danny Green had the most made threes in an NBA
I've been telling you that all year. I told you in 2013 he set the record.
But Skip, people are making it seem like he passed the ball to Dwight Howard for the game winner.
No,
that's not what he did.
I get it. It's the quote-unquote right play unless you're trying to make the GOAT argument. If you're trying to make the GOAT argument, put a big exclamation point on it. Show me.
Skip.
Walk it off.
Tom Brady gets credit for the GOAT when Adam Vinatieri kicked 2 game-winning field goals, when Malcolm Butler, but he gets credit for it, Skip.
Okay, it's a different game with different rules.
But Skip, just because you're making a GOAT argument doesn't mean you have to make the game-winning shot. Just like it doesn't mean that Tom Brady needs to throw the last-second touchdown or make the last-second run. That's not what it means.
So, in the end, yesterday, LeBron quoted the great William Shakespeare with "Heavy is the head that wears the crown." I would amend that to say thin is the skin that wears the crown, because this is some thin skin right here.
Who had thinner skin than Mike?
How?
Who had thinner skin than Mike?
Okay,
Stop it.
but that's not insecurity. That's rage. It's just rage. Anybody who gets in my way, I'm going to crush them.
All I'm going to do, LeBron says, you know what, all I'm going to do is just keep proving you wrong and make you look stupid. When you go out there and say the things that you said, that Kawhi and Paul George was better than me and AD, and now you got the gas face. Well, he did. He did it. When you say that he came to Hollywood and he was going to win awards that Emmys and Grammys and Tonys and Oscars as opposed to winning an NBA title. And now you're sitting up there looking dumb. You look foolish.
He got every break you could imagine.
Whoa, Skip. You see?
He got to play the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Nobody ever said that about any other superstar. Y'all didn't say that about Steph Curry when Kyrie and Kevin Love got injured.
He's not in the GOAT debate.
But no, Skip. So did y'all say that about did y'all say that about Magic? When Magic and Byron Scott tore their hamstrings off the bone and Jordan won his first one? Did anybody mention that Magic and Byron Scott got hurt? Did anybody mention
that wasn't a Jordan. That was Detroit. What are you talking about?
Magic got hurt in what you call them too? Against
Chicago?
Chicago. But that's not James Worth did it. James Worth did it also. But let me ask you a question, Skip. You see what you do? If something goes good for someone else, hey, those are the breaks. It's attrition. When it goes to LeBron, he got the biggest break. He got the biggest break in the history. He had a 5-month layoff. He got the COVID championship, and he had his cubic.
And he avoided the Clippers.
You see?
That's all you need to know. Period. End of story.
So let me ask you a question. So did you say Magic avoided the Celtics? Or did you say Bird avoided the Lakers? Why not? Why not?
What do you mean? We're talking about the GOAT here, right?
I'm asking you a question. That's my point, Skip, is that other great players have never been said they avoided someone. Skip, it's a series. If you don't get there after 7 games, you weren't the better team. That's simple.
Did the Clippers show you again and again and again that they were much better than the Nuggets? Yes.
Skip, they played 4 times. It was 2-2. Skip, you had a 3-1 lead with a 19, a 16, and a 12-point lead, and you lost. So how mentally fragile must you be to not be able to close one of those when you got that big a lead in all 3 games?
Because that team was hell-bent to put you back in your place. That's all it wanted. This whole year was dedicated to beating LeBron James.
Yeah, see, y'all was about making headlines. Y'all was about having celebration 2-1-3. You got 2-1-3 held up, and you know Paul George coming in there, and we go contend for a title this year. And Kawhi, what it do, baby? What it don't do is win titles in L.A. That's what it don't do, Skip Bayless.
So go ahead and gloat. I'm fine with that. But don't raise doubts. Don't acknowledge the doubts. Don't start embracing the doubts and try to turn yourself into some weird sympathetic figure.
We don't need sympathy. And just because we acknowledge what everybody knows to be true doesn't make us any less. All we're going to do is prove you wrong.
Just don't beg and plead for validation. That's what you're doing, begging and pleading.
You see what he got in his hand? That's the ultimate validation.
Yep.
That's it.
Cubic zirconia.
Call it what you want to. It looked real.
No mercy, and I won't back down.
Less than 24 hours after reports came out that the Jets were looking to trade Le'Veon Bell, New York instead cut the 2-time All-Pro. Bell only averaged 3.3 yards a carry since signing a 4-year, $52 million contract with the Jets last year. In a team statement, the Jets said they believed it was the best interest of both parties. So, Shannon, would you want him on your team at any price?
Yeah, good.
Really? Okay.
2 different locations, it's the same thing.
Yep.
Skip, I don't care how talented you are, if at some point in time, your employer is going to get tired of you taking shots at them.
Yeah.
And I get that you're not happy. Adam Gase is probably going to be the next one out the door because they're moving players. And it's, obviously this player's been disgruntled and you want to get him out of the building. But the problem is that Adam Gase never wanted him in the building. And so it built up a bad blood. And once you know that as a player, Skip, you know someone doesn't want you there. It's hard for you to take a liking to them. He didn't want him. He wanted offensive line to protect the quarterback. The general manager wanted a big-time running back. That was a conflict. A month, 2 months later, the general manager's gone. Now the head coach is stuck with a player that I'd never wanted to begin with. Skip, he hasn't been the same. I mean, you look at it, he has 0 100-yard games in 17 games, 175-yard games, and only 4 games in which he's averaged 4 yards per carry. That's not Le'Veon Bell. I don't really know how much. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how much he has left in the tank, Skip, because he had a couple of seasons. His last couple of seasons in Pittsburgh, he went to a magical number. He had over 400 touches. Skip, normally when guys get to those numbers, there have been very few guys that can get to those numbers and ever be the same player again. Now, Eric Dickerson went to those numbers a couple of times, but Skip, we're talking about a transcendent running back. I don't look at Le'Veon Bell as a transcendent running back. You look at I wrote some Larry Johnson. You look at when he went to those historic numbers and look what he did the following year. You look at
Herman Edwards.
You look at Eddie George, DeMarco Murray, our Terrell Davis, Jamal Anderson. Look at what some of these guys, when they got to those big milestones, 380, 390, 400 touches in a season. Look what they did the following seasons and subsequent seasons after that. Skip, it played out in a very similar fashion in Pittsburgh. Skip, we don't know the rumbling, but I just thought it was odd that a guy that was in the locker room for people that teammates come out so forcefully against a player.
The
Steelers in support of a team. And now, I get it. Maybe you want more touches. Maybe they're not using you appropriately. But, bruh, you can't keep speaking out against the team in a negative fashion. Skip, for someone to say, you know what? We owe you $6 million on next year's salary. We still owe you this year. We would rather pay you to go sit home and not be in our presence than have you in our presence and possibly help us. Skip, that speaks volumes. Because businesses don't normally play. Skip, sometimes coaches will keep coaches on or keep staff. I ain't paying you to go home. You gonna come. I don't want you here, but you gonna work for this money. They say, nah, go ahead and go. We'll just pay you to go somewhere else, and if you get picked up, so be that. But we don't want you here in our presence. Nah, Skip, I'm good.
On this one, I am completely with you. More trouble than worth. Once a very good back who could also catch it and run with it. He ran with it in a unconventional way I'd never seen before, where he did tiptoe, and he waited and he waited. He showed incredible patience, and then he'd hit a hole and he hit it hard.
Skip, remember, Skip, we had a discussion. I said, Skip, he the best back in football.
There was a moment.
There
were about 15 minutes when he was. And then he fell completely apart with the bedrock Pittsburgh Steelers. And it wasn't just the defense that was complaining about him. It was his offensive line. They threw him under 10 buses.
They did.
And it started with the center, Marquise Pouncey, who said, honestly, he's a little selfish. It's Le'Veon over the Steelers. Then Ramon Foster said, in the ultimate team sport, we've created a league of individuals. Here's a guy who just doesn't give a damn, meaning about us and the Steelers. A guy who said Ramon Foster makes 7 times as much as I do and twice as much as Al Villanueva makes. He even went money on him. And as you always say, you don't mess with a teammate's money publicly. That was a quote to the reporters covering the Steelers. That's how upset they were. That's how angry they were. That's how much they were done with him. So what did he do? He had the tag sitting right there. We're going to talk about Dak here in just a minute. But here comes a tag, and that was 14.5. Pretty good money. And he said, nope, I'm good. I'll sit. So he ignored the tag, and he sat for a year because he knew the Jets are sitting there or somebody's going to be out there giving him the big money. And they did. They gave him a lot of money. They gave him $52 million for the 4 years.
And he's already got, what, 27 of it?
He has 27 guaranteed. So you're good to go. So I hope he's quote unquote set for life, because that's
and
the
he
kind of
played
money.
1 year under the franchise tag in Pittsburgh,
He did,
which is about
he did.
12.
Good points. Very good point. So he comes to the Jets, and listen to these numbers. In these 2 years with the Jets, he's averaged 3.3 yards per carry. That ranks 48th out of 49 backs. As a receiver, he's averaged just under 7 yards per reception. That's 125th out of 132. That's not good.
No.
And even if you factor in yards that you should have gained given your blocking, where it's factoring in how good or bad your blocking is, he should have produced 110 rushing yards per game, and he didn't. So he's way below that. He was a bust for the Jets.
Yeah.
And he's been a bust for the league, because I'm going to remind you, they tried to trade him a year ago at the trade deadline. No takers.
Right.
They obviously desperately shopped him this time.
Right.
No takers.
With Skip, he's guaranteed $6 million on next year's salary.
Okay.
I'm not giving you a 6th rounder. I'm not giving you a 7th rounder.
No.
I'm just gonna wait, because I know, Skip, anytime you call me and say, hey man, I got this car for sale. Well, I know you want to sell it. Why am I gonna give you what the first price you throw out there if I know you want to sell something?
Yep.
They know you want to trade the guy. Why am I gonna give you anything?
Yep.
I'll just sit back, wait till you cut him, and then if that's something I want to explore, I'll deal with him directly. But I'm not giving up you anything. Skip, look, the Jets aren't very good. They're not very good. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. And I think the thing was that he wanted to go somewhere, but that's the risk that you run in free agency, Skip. Sure, I would love to go to a team that just came out winning the Super Bowl and they got a ton of money, Skip, and they want to bring me in. But that's not normally how it works. In free agency, it's normally the teams that didn't do very well the year before that have the most money. And they the one that normally lines up and signs the big-time free agent. But you understand that going in. So hopefully he gets to a situation now that he's a free agent again, that he can say, you know what? What's important, Skip, it's going to come down to what's important to you. Are you trying to win, or are you trying to think you're going to go out there and rush for 1,400 yards? Because I don't believe that's going to happen.
So as a Jet, he had one period where he gained some weight, which was a red flag.
Right.
He had a period where he's been hurt a little bit, had a hamstring issue, red flag. And then he even admitted to the Jets reporters that he got complacent, which was a big red flag. So he got his money, and he just sort of put it in neutral a little bit, okay? So...
But the really great one, Skip, is that you look at Aaron Donald, and you watch him play. He say, Rams, y'all underpaid me. He goes out there. You look at Russell Wilson. You look at the guys that it means something to. This is why it's so hard for players in the NFL to get, because they take what he said and they make it applicable to everybody. They say, well, we pay him this money, he gonna rest on his laurels. Why would you ever say that publicly, Skip? Even if you think that, like, man, I got this money, I'm chill, I'm cool. Why would you voice that publicly when you know, Skip, this is a copycat league, and that's how they view it? Say what you want to say about Tom Brady. Say what you want to say about the greats. But when they accomplish and they get paid, the drive that they have to show that I'm underpaid. You really should be paid. I gave you a discount. Even though you paying me $25, $35, $40 million a year, I really should be making 60. And I'm going to go show you. He get paid. He holds out, turns down $14 million, gets paid. And he gets paid, and what does he do? He gets fat, and he rests on his laurel.
He did.
What you did in Pittsburgh, Skip, how does that help me with the Jets? That's what guys need to understand. When you become a free agent, what you accomplished at your previous location, now the slate's clean. You come in with a blank slate. What you going to do for the Jets?
I got it. Which brings me to Le'Veon on social media. It can make you a star. It can make you unsignable. He lives on social media. He complains about the Jets on social media. He complained about the Steelers on social media. After a while, you're going to self-destruct on social media, because at some point, the executives who run these teams are going to say, I don't want that headache.
Skip, but you're seeking validation from people that can offer you nothing.
That is correct.
But false praise. They don't own a team. Yeah, Le'Veon, you're right. They gassing him up. They got him boosted up. And he studied, he liking tweets that's critical of the Jets. He's liking tweets that's critical of Adam Gates. Okay, if you don't like the head coach, I get it.
So do I.
I get it. We don't like everybody we work with, and that's not a requirement. But, bruh, Unless you're going to own your own team or you're going to own your own business, there's only so much that an organization or a business will tolerate before they get your butt up out of there. And they say they will tolerate you until they can replace you. Well, I don't even know if they got a replacement, but they couldn't tolerate him anymore. They said, we're done.
And he's wanted to be a rapper, stage name Juice. And, you know, he's pretty good. But if you want to do that, you can't do it at the expense of your football.
No.
So if he's not careful, he might just have a full-time career as a rapper.
Dame raps. It doesn't affect this game.
No, it does not.
Dame probably got a basketball somewhere. Dame probably shooting hoops. Dame probably working on this game.
Probably is. So will anybody give this man a shot? I assume the Bears might be desperate enough because they lost Tarek Cohen. You know, and maybe because they're on the fringe of being they look like they could be a wild card team. And I look at the Chiefs, and they've got Edwards-Helaire, who's had 7 shots inside the 5 and can't get in the end zone. He's not a banger.
No, Skip. He's a nice little change of pace guy. I wonder if Jerry still wished he had drafted him in the 2nd round. I'm just throwing that out there.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think this thing, Skip, he's a great change of pace. You can throw it to him, he can catch it. And I would tell him, watching him, I was like, he's going to be a problem inside the 5 because he's not a guy that can plunge the ball into the end zone.
You're right.
So it's going to be very interesting. They might be interested, but Kansas City needs defense. They don't. Their running back is the least of their problem. They need somebody that can help get to the quarterback and cover on the back end.
So I think we agree on the bottom line, more trouble than worth.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
You're good. That's saying a lot from you guys. Could this be a wake-up call for him? I mean, at this point, maybe it's too late. It is a mess for the Jets right now. I want to move on to the latest with the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. You know, Dak is beginning his recovery from ankle surgery, but questions have now come up about whether he missed his opportunity to take a long-term deal this past offseason. The report said the deal he was offered was one that, quote, some people in NFL circles believed Prescott should have taken. So, Shannon, should Dak have taken his initially reported deal that was worth in the low 30s per year? That's what we're hearing.
Skip, that's easy to say now. Hindsight is a magnificent science because you have the luxury of knowing tomorrow what happened today. It's easy to say he got hurt. Man, you don't turn down 35, 30, 33, 34 million dollars over 5 years, 150 plus million dollars. Skip, that's easy to say. Dak bet on himself. Dak says, if I come out healthy, the market is trending high 30s, low 40s. That's where the market's heading because that's what Deshaun Watson got. But here's the thing. They wanted Dak to give them a discount, Skip, with no years left on his contract. You give someone a discount if they give you the long-term security and you have years left. Carson Wentz, Jerry Goff had the 4th year and a 5th year option when they signed their deals. Dak Prescott had no years left. Skip, I'm not going to give you the same discount because remember, Skip, you were asking him in year 4 to do again in year 5, which is dodge these landmines. Throughout the course of a game, there's 65 to 70 plays per game. The quarterback drops back on average. Dak is probably look like he's going to drop back about 45 times a year. So that's 45 times, Skip, and plus another 2 to 3 rushes. So that's going to be 47 to 50 times a year, a game, that he's going to have to dodge a crash that could potentially end this season. He did that in year 4. And after the season, they said, now give us a discount. Huh? Give you a discount? Jared Goff gave his team a discount because he had 2 years left. Carson Wentz gave his team a discount. He had 2 years left. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, they had years left. Dak says, I got no years left. And you want me to give you a discount.
But he was a 4th-round pick.
He was a 4th-round pick. But he didn't play like, I get it. Because a lot of times, Skip, where you're drafted, that's what they see you as. That's what they see you as.
That's where you're stuck. You're stuck there for 4 years.
No, I'm saying, but that's how they view. They don't, because Dak, if Dak was a first round, Skip, they'd have done.
I got it. No doubt.
We'd have been good.
No doubt.
So for me, Skip, that's easy to say. It's kind of like LeBron passed the ball to Danny Green. Danny Green missed. LeBron, you should have shot it. But if Danny Green hits the shot, everybody's happy. That's what makes LeBron James. The vision that he had that know where Danny Green was going to be, yada, yada, yada. So, Skip, I don't base things like that. I do not believe because Dak says, I'm worth more. I'm gonna bet on me. And guess what, Skip? I like Dak where he is. Because guess what? I believe San Diego might be in the market for a quarterback. I believe the Denver Broncos.
The LA Chargers. Yep.
No. The 49ers.
Oh, the 49ers.
The 49ers going to be.
I thought you said San Diego.
Oh, excuse me. I meant to say 49ers.
Okay.
I believe they're going to be in the market for a quarterback.
They well might.
My old team, the Denver Broncos, I believe they're going to be in the market for a quarterback unless they be high enough to get, say, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. So he's sitting back looking, okay,
maybe.
I like my chances. I believe I can still get the high 30s, maybe the low 40s. This ankle heals, they put the screws in, Skip. No, but to answer Jenny's original question, no, I do not.
That he should not have taken the
He should not have
deal.
taken the deal.
Okay. I'm going to remind everybody where I come from on all these topics. I am a crazed, lifelong, diehard Cowboy fan.
You are?
Since they started as an expansion team.
Foolishly, you are.
I am. And it's in my blood, and I can't help myself. But I'm coming from a team standpoint, so I don't have sympathy from player to player in their contractual impasses with Jerry Jones, because in the end, I just want it to work.
Right.
I want
you what was best for the team.
Yes, not for Dak or Zeke or Jalen Smith or whoever it is. I just want the team to prevail so that I don't have to come in here on Monday and hear the Cowboys do Cowboy things. That's all I ever hear on Monday. They just did Cowboy things, right? And you come from the perspective of you want my salary cap wrecked for a quarterback that you have never really loved. You have never embraced him on this show. Because I'm going to remind everybody, down the stretch last year, last 13 games, you gave him 7 Fs.
He earned them.
Okay, so he earned them. And I won't dispute that at this moment. Did I want him to take the deal? Yes, I did, because even you sort of gave into it in the end, and you said, yeah, it's a fair deal. And by the way, despite what Jenny said about low 30s, the ESPN report we're responding to, it had that offer at 36-ish, okay? Like Russell Wilson, 36-ish. We still don't know exactly what it still has not been reported because Jerry wouldn't leak it. He had that much respect. He wanted to preserve his face of the franchise.
Well, somebody leaked something for it to be 33, 34, 35, 36. So
I think
someone leaked something.
I think there's some guesswork going on in there, okay? And how much was offered up front, guaranteed at signing? Jane Slater, NFL Network, said 80, which was pretty great. And there's $100 million figure out there of guaranteed over the distance of the contract, which is not always take it to the bank kind of money.
Exactly.
Okay, so that was last year. Before the year started, remember Jerry, after game 1, said it's imminent, we're going to sign.
Correct.
He thought he thought he had a handshake. Remember this, the Yahoo report? And that deal got jerked out from under him, I presume by the new agent, Todd France, at that point, because Dak got off to a hot start against 3 teams that you considered garbage teams. But he was extraordinary. He lit them up. I believe he was leading the league in QBR after 3 games. It was 90-plus QBR. And here we went. They went to Cold War. That's what they did. And when Jerry gets mad, he just gets flat out, you know, plum dog mad, as they might say in Arkansas, where he becomes do not invite him, where he starts to take it personally, the way you mistreated him after a handshake deal.
And what should have happened, Skip, is that they should have okay, even though I don't agree with these tactics, we're going to keep the lines of communications open. And we're going to continuously work throughout the season and not just cut off all communication.
That's what happened. They cut it off. It was bad news for both sides. It was bad news for me. It hurt my heart to watch it happening because it felt like the beginning of the end of Dak Prescott in Dallas, Texas. That's how it felt. So what started happening? I believe Dak started pressing because here we go again. He's got to prove himself because the deal is not done. And he pressed and he pressed and he pressed, and they go to New Orleans, and he pressed and didn't have a good game, and they lost 12-10. And then he goes to New England, he presses. It was in foul weather, but they lose 13-9. And then, you know, he goes to Chicago, and they fall woefully behind, and it gets Buffalo. But the same Buffalo team you saw get destroyed last night destroyed my Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day stage at Jerry World.
They did?
It was a complete humiliation, and Dak played miserably in that game. And it led all the way up to at Philly, and He had a bum shoulder, but he wasn't very good in that game. Okay, F, fail.
Right.
Okay, so Jerry's sitting back saying, really? What more? I'll still offer him the same deal. And if Jane Slater's right with $80 million guaranteed, that's kind of set for life kind of money.
Yeah. So at the time of that, that's a lot of cheese at the time of signing.
Hey, $80 million bucks.
Yeah.
That's what do you call it for your
generational?
Yeah, generational. You know, that could be if you invest it correctly. And you handle it correctly, that's generational.
And
kind
Texas
of money.
has no state tax.
That is correct.
So you're getting a lot.
Okay, no state tax. And for what it's worth, he had, at that point, a dozen national TV commercials. That's got to give you some added income.
Right.
Plus, you are the quarterback of America's team. It's just a cool thing. It's the Hollywood of the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, so all that added up to me, take the pressure off, take the deal. It's not top of the market. It's not what you want in your heart. And you made a good point yesterday. You said, well, he may never have been comfortable. You know, he might have just never gotten used to that. I gave in. I crumbled.
Right.
I sort of said, okay, whatever you say, Jerry, I'll do it.
Right.
Okay. So maybe he wouldn't have been happy with it, but I think the team would have been happy with it. And I think he would have played better with the pressure off last year leading into this year. So what do I see now? Dak Prescott, knocking on wood that he's going to bounce right back 100%. As Jerry said, he's going to be good as gold. But in the last 17 games, his record as a starter is 6-11. Well, I can't sell that. As a crazed fan, I can't defend that to you right here on national television because it's indefensible. 6-11. Is it his fault? Completely no. Is it some his fault? Well, he's the starting quarterback. Okay? So all I know is there were these first 4 games this year, and they fell behind 7-0 at the Rams and 20-0 against Atlanta, and then 30-15 at Seattle, 41-14 against Cleveland, and 17-3 against the Giants, and then unfortunately tore my heart out that he got hurt. Because he is the comeback warrior, the greatest comeback warrior I've ever seen is Dak Prescott. But it's hard to come all the way back from 41-14.
Right.
And then the defense collapses and it's another L. So my point is, if you had taken the deal, it's still a fair market deal for what you've achieved so far, which is you've won 1 playoff game and you have 2 losses. That's all you got. And you've had stretches of very mediocre play. And last year you were subpar really over the last 15 games.
But see, the thing is,
I'm sorry, the last 13
Skip,
games.
I would agree with you if that's the way they evaluated quarterbacks. But they've never evaluated quarterbacks because if they did, Matthew Stafford would have never gotten a second contract because he's never won a playoff game. He's never won the division.
But he was the first pick in the draft.
And you look at some of these other quarterbacks, Skip, the quarterback position, you know they always get overpaid. They get paid on what you believe they're going to be able to do. And what Jerry is telling me by not paying Dak, he keeps saying, oh, Dak's our guy. He can win multiple championships. But you not giving him the money tells me that you don't really believe that because you plunked down all that money. You went all in, Skip, on the Cowboys because you believe that long term they could turn you a massive profit. So you was willing to mortgage everything to get them.
Okay.
You look at what he did with that $1.5 billion state-of-the-art system facility in Frisco. He believed that, hey, I can have, you can come work out here and you can come watch practice here. I found a way to monetize. So that's what Jerry does. When Jerry believes in something, Skip, that money talk. I don't care what he says.
I buy this. Okay, but it's like the quote that we were playing off in the ESPN analysis. Most people consider him a fringy top 10 quarterback. And I always tell you, I got him ranked 10th some days, 9th some days. Well, that's still pretty great. But it's not top 5. And it's not Mahomes and it's not Deshaun.
But see, fringy quarterbacks, Skip, when they come available, they get top 5 money.
Okay.
So
and is he better than Kirk Cousins? Yes.
And Skip, you look at Tannehill. I still believe Dak's better than Ryan Tannehill, although Ryan Tannehill played unbelievable.
But I totally agree because I still don't buy Ryan Tannehill. We're going to talk about that.
But look what they gave him. After 8 starts, they gave big time dollars.
All right, so bottom line question to me is, if Dak had taken this deal before last season started, when it was on the table, when Jerry thought it was imminent that they had a deal, Do you think he would have played better last year and into this year because of the comfort zone of the deal's done and it is what it is?
No, because you like guys to play angry, like the guys to play hungry. And he was hungry because he wanted to prove that I'm worth what I'm asking for. And so Dak's going to do. And I'm not to say that he wouldn't have done that, Skip, had he signed the contract. But I'm just saying, like I said, I haven't been around him a whole lot, but I think I got a good peg on him. The way he's wired.
Yep.
He was going to prove that I'm worth what I'm asking for. And that's how guys are. Okay, you saying I'm not, I'm saying I am. One of us is wrong. I'm going to prove that I'm right.
I think he would have played better, unless you're right about he would have been ashamed of the deal and sort of held it against Jerry. But I don't think in time you just let that go, and now you're the quarterback for the next 4 or 5 years, whatever the deal is.
Skip, if you look at defensive players.
Yep.
They go up and up. You Von Miller, and then it was Aaron Donald, then it was Khalil Mack, and then Myles Garrett, then Joey Bosa. They keep expanding the ball. Now, I don't believe any of those guys better than Aaron Donald. But they signed after Aaron Donald, so they got more money.
Okay, but they're all in that top 5-ish pass rush.
Yes.
Echelon.
Yeah, but they got over. Yeah, but I believe that. You watch. All he needs is one team, Skip. He needs one team, because if you don't franchise, that means he's a free agent because you can't protect him.
I still believe he's going to get a second tag.
You do?
Yeah, so he'll go 34 and 38 million, which is not bad money.
I don't know.
That way he will make more money with 2 tags than he would have made signing the deal at 36 and 36.
Hey, I believe, somebody going to put that money on that.
Well,
you just going to get healthy?
What you're hoping.
You're going to get healthy, Dak. That money right there. Dak going to get that money.
No mercy. And I won't back down.
The Titans had control of the whole game last night, cruising to a 42-16 win over the Bills. Derrick Henry also sent a statement to the Buffalo defense by landing this massive stiff arm that sent Josh Norman flying. The play has blown up all over social media. Plenty of memes have already been created. I kind of feel for Josh Norman this morning. Shannon, was this the most devastating stiff arm you have ever seen?
I wouldn't go by the ever, Skip, but it is one of the more impressive ones. And Josh Norman knows it's coming. And there's nothing like, Skip, a guy's like Reggie White's hump move. You know it's coming, but a 340-pound man can do nothing about it because you can't stop it. Josh knows it's coming, and he tries to chop his arm because he knows what's going to happen, and he missed. And I don't know if you follow him on social media, Derrick Henry, Skip, but he's been working out really hard. Does a lot of tricep work. Yeah. And the movie Deadpool, Skip, Ryan Reynolds' character, sometimes he finds himself in situations, and he asks, the voice comes on, you're probably wondering how I got in this position.
Talking to the audience.
Yes,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Josh Norman is probably asking, you're probably asking, how did I get in this position? Well, let me tell you what happened. I tried to tackle Derrick Henry in the open field, and I got too close to him. And instead of chopping his arm down so he couldn't stiff arm me, I missed. He got into my chest, and bad things normally happen when Derrick Henry can extend his arm in your chest. Vance McDonald, the Steelers had one on a Monday night.
Yeah, I remember it well.
Against Tampa Bay, Skip.
Yes.
This is... You remember he got Earl Thomas in the divisional game last year, Skip. He had one in the semifinals, I think, against Michigan State also, where he got a guy. So Derrick Henry is known for this. He's been doing this since high school because Derrick Henry was this exact same size in Jacksonville when he became the all-time leading rusher in high school history. Skip, that's just... If you play football long enough, Skip, if you play basketball long enough, if you play basketball, you're going to get dunked on, somebody's going to put a move on you and cross you up. You play football long enough, somebody's going to do something like that, or they're going to put their helmet up under your chin, and your chin and your helmet's going to come off. So it's just a part of the game. Josh, you lost this one, bro.
Yeah. I have seen more devastating stiff arms than that one. And the Vance McDonald one was just stunning because he levels the guy. Wasn't it a safety? Yeah. And he just keeps on keeping on.
Right.
And he blows all the way home. Oh, here it is. You're done, pal. I forget who that was. And he's just gone.
Conti.
Yep. Yeah, Conti.
But, Skip, you remember...
Okay, but he's going to go score.
And plus, Derrick Henry had one on the 99-yard one against Jacksonville where he had like 2 or 3 stiff arms.
Yep. The reason this one exploded on the internet, on Twitter, was because of the victim It's Josh who's been a bigger talker than he's played over the last 3 or 4 years.
Correct.
And I know a lot of fans are out there right now saying, is he going to play? Even Buffalo fans are saying, well, can he
recover from this?
Can he do this? Yeah, can he recover from this? Because he hadn't been covering anybody.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to defend Josh on one point. The truth is, with this man, what did you say about you were on the field next to Derrick Henry? He is a huge human. Huge.
TV doesn't do him justice.
No,
He's legit 6'4", 260.
Okay, so listen, Josh is a pretty big corner.
Yes, and he's a good tackling corner.
He is, and he goes, I'll bet Josh weighs, I'm going to just guess, 210 maybe?
I was maybe 200, Skip. I don't know if he's 210. I don't know if he's that heavy. He might have gotten a little heavier in his old
I've
age.
seen him in the hallways here at Fox, and he's got a little stature to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so the point is, why wouldn't you go low there? Why wouldn't you just take a shot, helmet at feet, and try to get his feet out from under him? Because that's your only... What shot do you have going in high? What's going to happen?
Well, Skip, he knows he's going to get stiff arm. That's why he tried to
miss.
And so he's going to body him.
Okay.
Once I get his arm out the way, Skip, now I can body him.
And now he's completely off balance when he finally gets stiff-armed in the shoulder, and he's got no hope he's just going to tumble. But I got to give him this. At least Derrick wasn't able to turn it up and go with it, right?
Yeah.
And the play actually got canceled by offsetting penalties.
Right.
But he's not even going to get to the... Did he get to the first? No, he didn't get to the first down marker. So at least Josh effectively, quote unquote, did his job, right? He got him out of bounds, short of the marker.
Once Derrick did that, Derrick should have did that. Too small.
Okay.
That's
the truth.
He hit with that little Russell Westbrook on him. Like,
okay, that's fine.
Bro.
Now let's talk about the football game. I was almost willing to bet on the Bills yesterday, and we went back and forth about the points. And fortunately for me, you did not accept the bet.
I didn't accept.
The Bills have been my dark horse Super Bowl team. I was thoroughly deflated by what I saw because that was a nightmare last night for them. They hung in for a little while, and then they completely collapsed and gave up, what was the score, 41 to...
Yeah, 42. 42, yeah.
Okay, it's just like destruction.
Right.
Okay, so what did I see from a Buffalo team? They were not ready to play. Should I give them a little bit of a break? Because remember, they went several days not knowing whether they were going to have to play Kansas City on Thursday night or the Titans on Tuesday night.
Right.
Remember, for a while, they said we had to do alternating game plans because we were preparing for the Chiefs and we had to suddenly prepare for the Titans.
Right.
Well, the reason I was willing to bet you is the Titans went 2 weeks and they barely, I think they had 2 practices, right? And it's complete distraction because you're COVID racked and everybody's looking sideways like, am I next?
Right.
And you would have thought they would have come out flat last night and they were the team readier to play. They seemed to delight in the opportunity just to play football.
Skip, this is going to be a lot like basketball season because it's going to be who can adjust on the fly the most. Because you might potentially think you're going to play on Sunday and you might be playing Monday or Tuesday. Or you think you're going to play Monday night and you might not play until the following Sunday. So you're going to have to make adjustments. And the teams that can make the best adjustments are going to win the game. So it's going to be an attrition because you don't know who and when someone's going to get on that list.
So Buffalo did not have John Brown on offense, which I think hurt them some because he threw 16 balls to Stephon Diggs, which is just too many. And on defense, they did not have Tre'Davious White, who's one of the top corners, if not the top. And Levi Wallace is another good corner, and they didn't have them. But it seems like in this COVID season, everybody doesn't have somebody, right? Okay, so you just have to suck it up and figure it out. And when Malcolm Butler intercepted, I believe this was his second pass.
Second one.
Yeah. He takes off running, and it looked like the Bills quit to me. Like, we're done. Yeah, here we go.
Well, he was definitely trying to make him quick. Well, he wasn't going down. He wanted this to.
Would somebody maybe tackle him? Maybe you. That's a little measly Beasley. He couldn't get him down.
Measly Beasley's trying.
No, he tried, I guess.
Skip, you know offensive linemen.
Nobody's trying. Could you get him down? No, you're not going to get him down. Did somebody maybe get him? Oh, he finally just sort of stumbled over his own feet and fell down. Okay, that's not the Bills of Sean McDermott that I was willing to bet on because they play hard, man. Well,
Skip, that was really the only mistake that I thought Josh Allen made. The first one caromed off the guy's hand, and he was off a little bit. He missed a few throws, but I still think Buffalo's a good team. But I said this, Skip, watching Tennessee, is that if you look at them from the first game when they played the Broncos and they got that game-winning touchdown to where they are now, they're light years ahead. They are so much better. Not defensively.
Yep.
Their defense concerns me, Skip, because they came in allowing, they were like one of the worst defenses
They were the worst against the rush coming in.
And they're not generating pressure. I would thought with Vic Beasley and Jadeveon Clowney, Skip, they would generate more pressure than what they do.
Yep.
And I'm surprised that they don't generate as much pressure as I thought they would.
Okay, and it brings me to Ryan Tannehill. I've never been a fan. I wasn't before the draft. It's just hard for me to wrap my arms around he's a top 10 quarterback. He's playing like a top 5 quarterback.
But when you got that big King Henry in the backfield and you Skip, they do everything on play action.
Yep.
So those linebackers, you better get ahead of steam to try to stop that guy before he gets going. I don't ain't trying to end up on his highlight tape like Josh Norman.
Then the classic Ryan Tannehill play happened last night when they couldn't get any pressure on him, and he finally says, well, I think I'll just escape to the right, and there's nobody home, and he runs it in for a touchdown because there's nobody left.
Yeah. He likes to blow out his knee.
Hey,
Did you see this? Watch what he does.
Okay,
Watch
this is how unused he is to scoring. What is that?
Yeah.
What was that about?
You remember the kicker from Arizona, Skip?
And he said he was embarrassed after the game. I know. And he could have hurt himself.
Right.
Okay, that's Ryan Tannehill. That's who he is.
He like to pull the Gus Farrar. You remember Gus Farrar?
I do. I got it. But he was so unused to scoring. He's like, I don't know what to do. I think I want to celebrate this.
He tried to do it.
Okay. All right. But that's who they are. And, hey, they got hot at the end of last year.
But offensively, the guy, I think Smith is the offensive coordinator. He's doing a great job of calling it.
Yep.
They run the football, even though Derrick Henry has not had those big days.
I mean, he had 19 carries for 57 yards, but it seemed like every one of them hurt.
Yeah.
You know, he just bludgeoning.
Well, he's normally a second half back. So if you look at the second half of this season, he'll go on this tear where he has 150, 185, 200. He'll pick it up the second half when it gets cold and nobody wants to tackle that big joker.
Well, my takeaway last night at the end of the game was old Coach Subway up there in New England.
Yeah.
I think he's looking a little better right now.
Well, hell yeah.
No mercy.
Tom Brady was seen on the sideline yelling at teammates in the Buccaneers' loss to the Bears, and Bruce Arians says he likes it. The head coach said, quote, I don't have any problem with it. At least I don't have to go back there and cuss them out. They've already gotten an earful by the time I get over there. Shannon, Arians says he likes it. He doesn't have a problem with it. Do you?
We got a big problem with it. First of all, Tom Brady, as great as he is, Tom Brady is a player. He and I are on equal footing. Although he's a greater player than I am, he's a player. He's not the coach. Tom Brady's name does not appear on my check. Because my thing is, Skip, I believe there's a healthy level of respect that must be shown between teammates, no matter how great you are, you're 1 or 53. There needs to be a level of respect there. And I get Tom Brady was frustrated, guys. You know, it was holding, it was procedure, it was unsportsmanlike conduct where the guy runs down the field. And I get all of that. The one that's the unforgivable is the personal foul. Skip, come on, bro. You will run down the field and headbutt the guy?
Your center headbutted.
Yeah. I mean, come on, what's that about?
Post play, it's just okay.
Because we lose the down and we get 15 yards.
That was the one that set him off. Yeah. Because that didn't happen in New England.
Right.
Okay.
But, you know, procedure, penalty is going to happen, Skip, even though you try to, you know, you like, come on, guys, we can't have those. But see, the problem that you run into when you start yelling and screaming at other guys' mistakes and you throw pick sixes. Because I'm going to come to you and say, you yell at me, I'm going to say, bro, can you throw it to the guys in your color uniform and not the other guys? That would greatly help us win this ball game. You don't want to get into a back and forth. That's why I've always tried to be, come on, hey, when I spoke, I kind of spoke in generality, you know, not general, but I spoke, come on, guys, we need to play better. We're better than this. Come on, O-line. Come on, hey, I need to do a better job of I got to get open quicker. I got to do my part. But, hey, let's protect John. Let's open some holes. Come on, let's get going. Never one guy in specific. So I don't like that Tom turned to the guys and yelled and was cursing. No, bro, because you gotten 2 pick sixes. And you haven't played, you played well in spots, but you haven't looked like the Tom Brady from New England either, although the discipline that you were used to for 20 years is not here in Tampa.
It is not.
You haven't looked like the Tom Brady that I'm used to seeing on film and when I watch TV of you in New England. So, Skip, you have to be careful of things like that. But, no, I don't like that.
By the way, he was coming off the NFC Offensive Player of the Week award, having thrown 5 touchdown passes against the Chargers to 5 different teammates. So I think he looked pretty good in that game, which was just 3 days before this game.
Oh, he was down 24-7 to a rookie. Oh, he looked good.
And that rookie has arrived.
Yeah, okay.
And they were 3-1 going to Chicago, and all of a sudden the sky fell on them because they could not protect Tom Brady, especially in the second half, against a furious, ferocious Bears pass rush, featuring a guy that you fear in Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd say he's...
Oh, yeah, return of the Mack. Yeah,
okay, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what have I always said about Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.? He has a split personality. He has this thing called Psycho Tom that comes out during games, and it's not a pretty sight because he is a wild-eyed, driven competitor. Right up there with Jordan, but he's in a very different package. What did you hate and maybe quietly love about The Last Dance? Jordan's just all over his teammates. You want to talk about verbal abuse? It's like all time. It's off the charts, right?
Yep.
He got away with it because he could back it up on the floor, and they knew it. He backed it up in practice.
Right.
Okay, I agree with your premise of you can't just go to the sideline and start humiliating people in front of other teammates.
Yes.
Because Brady just loses it, especially when he sees his center, who I think he, by all accounts, he loves him. He thinks he's a really good player. He trusts him, but he couldn't trust him not to do that.
Right.
Okay, so he's all over him. But what did Bruce Arians also, this is the key to this, he said, he does a good job of patting them on the back, too. He might explode, but he's going to go down there and pat them on the back and get them going. Listen, I tell you this again and again. In all my years at ESPN, talking to ex-Patriot teams, I've worked with so many of them there who knew Brady very well. Not one word did I ever hear about, oh, he's a fraud. He's actually a bad guy. He's got a bad heart.
Oh, I believe that's exactly who he is. What you see, I believe that's exactly who he is.
So you can't take that guy on the internet, that silly, lame, goofy, nerdy, cliche-ridden.
Right.
It's just like silliness, and it's not how a franchise quarterback is supposed to act in public.
Because that is so different from this.
It's completely different.
I mean, there's so much space in between.
It's hard to reconcile.
Right.
That guy and that guy?
Skip, I think the biggest thing for me, though, is that I always took into account that dude might have kids. He might have a wife. He got a mom. He got a dad. They watching. And another man talking to you like that? Skip, I always kept that in the back of my mind. That's somebody's son. That dude he paying the mortgage, too.
If that guy had been your quarterback and occasionally he had jumped on you during a game, the point with that guy would have been he would have built up love with you because he would have just sort of opened himself up because he opens himself up to the 53rd guy on the roster. I'm Tom. Hi, I'm Tom.
Right.
And he wants to sit, he wants to hear about your wife and kids, and he's going to know all about them.
Right.
And he's going to send you texts about what happened with your new kid. How's it going with your new kid?
Right.
You sleeping at night? That's the way he is, and it's 1,000% authentic.
I think the thing is, Skip, is that when you're around someone, you know what they can and can't take. And so I think if Tom's around me, he knows I'm not a guy.
Yeah, I would agree. He would figure that out.
Right.
And I can't push that button.
Right.
I can go here, but I can't go over there.
Right.
Because that won't work.
That's what great leaders do.
I would completely agree. So remember, whatever that Psycho Tom competitor is, that's the guy who has 6 rings with 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime. It's extraordinary. He doesn't get enough credit for that. But you can't do that being that guy on the internet. That guy can't do that.
Right. Skip, I would have felt better. He calls the offense up. Guys, what we doing? We're getting these penalties. We're shooting ourselves. We're harming ourselves. They're not stopping us.
Okay.
We're getting holding. We're getting procedures and then dead ball foul penalties.
To me, I have studied this guy for a long time. I thought he was coming a little unglued more than usual at the whole bench area.
Yes.
Because that was the first night he missed Coach Belichick, or at least the Patriot way.
Yes.
Not Belichick himself.
Right, but his principles.
The principles and the culture of New England. What did they end up having? I forgot to look it up. 11 penalties?
Yeah.
Okay, 11 for 109 yards, I believe it was.
Because he had never been in a situation where we beat ourselves.
That's what I'm saying.
If another team beats us, we can live with that. But
They kept making dumb mistakes.
Correct.
And it wasn't New England-esque. And we said it from the start. I was with you on this. Bruce Arians is a little loosey-goosey. It's like,
go drive him
no
crazy.
risk it, no biscuit. Just heave it down the field. Maybe we catch it, maybe they catch it. That's not the way he operates.
Right.
So he's trying to find his way into that system and mold the system
Right.
a little bit to his taste, where it can be much more careful than it was before.
He needs to get BA.
Yeah.
Because one or two things happen when you see things like this happen from a team perspective, Skip.
Yep.
Either you coach it or you allow it.
Yeah.
Both are on the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
One or two things are happening. You coaching it or you're allowing it. So I need Tom to go to BA and say, BA, you need to crack down on this.
Yep.
You need to, because the defense are getting ticky-tack fouls and jumping off sides also. So this is how we're going to handle that.
Yep.
Coach Bella, like I said, Skip, you take a lot of times, when you move now, you have to understand, because, man, I love this house. I love this house. I move somewhere else. The bathroom and the master bedroom might not be the same as the house that I really love. Am I going to be accepting of that?
Yep.
So, Tom, although you got these weapons, the discipline that you're so used to having, where you didn't beat yourself, okay.
Well, he's trying to instill it as the assistant head coach.
Right.
And I don't know if that works or not.
Right.
I don't know if the players will accept that.
Right.
But if anybody has the cachet and the credentials to sort of take over the team, it would be that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's just, it's different, Skip. When you're somewhere and the things are one way and all of a sudden you're like,
huh?
Damn, you gonna let him come late to practice? I mean, we already stretching and he's just getting out of here.
That is true. Okay? And all I know for a fact is, if they have 11 penalties for 109 yards against Green Bay at home this
You get
Sunday,
blown out.
you will get blown.
Yeah.
You will get embarrassed.
Yes.
You can't do it.
Oh, you gonna get it back regardless?
No.
Oh, yeah, right. You gonna get it right. Can I go? You want to go and do this right now?
Nope, Friday. Friday. Lots of dew on Friday on this show. And I love Diet Dew.
I think I want about 3
Friday to
cases.
settle this one? I want to know what you guys think already. Okay.
No mercy.
We're going to get to Orlando Scandrick in a bit, but first today on FS1, the NLCS continues with Game 3. Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger lead the Dodgers down 2-0 in the series despite coming in as heavy favorites against Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves. Guys, how excited are you for this one? I don't know if we expected it, but what do you make of it?
Shannon Sharp,
Yep.
because I covered the Dodgers for the LA Times a long time ago. I remain a Dodger fan. I was rooting my brains out last night as they staged a stunning
They did.
comeback, which fell 1 run short because of a last hard-hit ball that did not find a hole. 8-7. I wish they had pulled that off, but I still think it's momentum into today.
Yes.
On FS1. I will be watching, and I am on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, they definitely have momentum, Skip, because they were down 7-0, and then all of a sudden they come back and almost win this ball game. But the Braves with Freddie Freeman and Acuna Jr. and Albies, Skip, they loaded. And
They're loaded.
they're built basically like the Dodgers. They got pitching, and their 1 through 5 hitters can hit it out the park.
Both teams are loaded.
Yes. Yes.
What the Braves are doing to the
The
Dodgers.
more Braves, the more
Are what the
Atlanta
Dodgers
Braves.
did to everyone else all season long. This has been interesting. We will be watching. Coverage begins tonight, 5 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. I'm rooting for the Dodgers. I'm with you, Skip. All right, let's get back to the NBA. Brothers Stan and Jeff Van Gundy have become top candidates for some of the NBA head coaching vacancies. According to reports, Stan is among the finalists for the Pelicans open position and will interview with the team, while Jeff is supposed to interview with the Rockets today and is currently one of their leading candidates. So, Shannon, how do you explain the Van Gundy brothers being such hot commodities right now?
Well, I mean, the little bit that I don't listen to the game broadcast, but I hear them speak before the game, Skip, and they're very knowledgeable. Stan Van Gundy, let's take Stan first. He did take the Magic to the NBA Finals. He did take the Heat to the Eastern Conference Finals before Coach Pat Riley came down and took over and ended up getting them across the finish line. Jeff Van Gundy, Skip, his knowledge is expansive. And I think him being a broadcaster, him and being around, staying around the game, if he can implement what he'd be talking about with Mark Jackson, hopefully Mark Jackson is in the running for one of these jobs or get an interview. If he can relay that to his team, Skip, the way he relays it to people that just watching,
Yep.
Skip, I think somebody's going to get a heck of a coach. But I think both of these guys will be well situated. I think So basically, it's Ty Lue, the Van Gundy brothers, and I don't know. For whatever reason, Mark Jackson's not even getting an interview.
Nope.
So I think, Skip, I like the Pelicans. I like them, but Skip, they're rebuild, and I think
they're just growing up.
They're growing. Well, yeah, Skip, it's going to take a while. And are you willing to take those growing lumps because the West is going to be loaded, and the expectations with Zion are going to be there. So, but I think both of these guys will make unbelievable candidates. Ty Lue gonna get one of these jobs.
I hope it's the Clippers. That's just me. So, Shannon Sharp, here's what I cannot quite wrap my head around. Here we have two Van Gundy brothers who played Division III basketball, who are now prime head coaching candidates once again for two very good jobs. Pelicans could be very good at some point, and Rockets, where Jeff was already the coach for 4 years. He lives in Houston. It'd be a silver platter job for him. But I sit back and think a league is led by LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and we can go Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And these two guys, older white guys, one's 61, Stan is 61, and Jeff is 58.
And Jeff hadn't last coached in 2007.
That's correct. And they're going to get, quote-unquote, plum jobs.
Yeah.
And again, Mark Jackson not getting an interview. I don't know what. This league is saying no to him.
Mark, whatever you said, look, what I may have said, what was said then is not my views currently. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I apologize. But, Skip, whatever the case may be, that can't be a death sentence, is it? That you can't even get an interview? Forget the job. Just let me sit in front of you and explain my side of the story.
I got it. So I don't mind team builders, architects who did not play basketball, because sometimes they're better at building teams than Michael Jordan is in Charlotte. And I talk about, you know, my guys like Sam Presti or R.C. Buford, who I think two of the best. They did not play at a high level at all. They were sort of walk-on type players. And
Rob Pelinka
was a player. I mean, he played at minute.
He was on the team with the Fab Five.
5'6", right? He was the 6.
He was the 6 men on the board, baby.
David Griffin is very good, but he didn't play. He was a media intern, you know, in the media department for the Phoenix Suns and was there for many years and sort of worked his way up the ladder. I don't mind those guys because they can have an eye for it that an ex-player does not have. But when you are dealing with today's players and you're 61-year-old Stan Van Gundy or 58-year-old Jeff Van Gundy, I don't get the connection. They're both very good on TV. Jeff is extraordinary. He's got a great wit. He makes it fun and enlightening. So I got all that. But they were both products of Pat Riley. And I have nothing but the utmost respect, but Pat put both of them on the map. But if you look at their backgrounds, like Stan Van Gundy, think about this. So he plays for his dad in D3 at SUNY Brockport, that's State University of New York, up near Rochester. And then he goes to Vermont as an assistant and Carleton State College as the head coach and Canisius and Fordham and UMass Lowell. And then he goes to Wisconsin. He finally, for 1 year, becomes head coach. And Pat got to know him a little bit on the recruiting trail and said, come to New York and be an assistant. And then Jeff becomes an assistant, sort of down the same path where he's a high school coach for a while. It's like, how did they even get in the NBA in the first place?
But, Skip, if you think about it, look at Spoelstra. Look at the background, the road that he traveled. Look at Frank Vogel. Look at the road he traveled. And so that's seemingly how it is. But the black coaches, they got to play. If you ain't get no job, you ain't play. Because look at Ty Lue, look at Monty, Doc. Mark Jackson, for the most time, you look Casey Jones, Lenny Wilkins. You could just Bill Russell.
I got it. I got it. And I'm more comfortable with that concept than this concept, especially in today's NBA. Yet here, I sat back last night and I said, seriously? Jeff could get the Rockets and Stan could get the Pelicans. I think it's pretty much odds on that they're going to get.
Jacques Bond, I mean, you thought enough of him to let him intern, let him interview for a job. Maybe he doesn't want to be on an assistant. Maybe he wants his own gig. I understand that's a great gig with the Brooklyn Nets under Steve Nash, and you got KD, and you got Kyrie, and LeVert, and all those guys, a lot of these guys coming back. But maybe he wants his own gig. Maybe he wants to do his own thing, Skip. I don't get it either, but look.
You know, if I'm those young Pelicans and you say, Stan Van Gundy's my head coach, I'm like, seriously?
Well, Skip, Jeff, I mean, you think about the oldest guy is probably 24. and you got a 61-year-old and a 58-year-old.
I got it.
What music? Yeah. What music can we play? I mean, come on, Skip.
And Jeff constantly makes fun of himself on the broadcast about how much he doesn't know about social media or rap music or whatever it might be.
And these guys live on social media.
Yes, correct.
So
I don't get it, but you become a made man thanks to Pat Riley, and here you are.
Sam Cassell.
And to your point, and Jeff did get it was the strike year of '99. Right. He got those Knicks to the finals.
NBA finals, yes.
And he was the head coach of the Knicks thanks to Pat Riley, and then the Rockets.
Right.
Okay.
No mercy.
Dak Prescott will miss the remainder of the season and is expected to be out 4 to 6 months after fracturing his ankle on Sunday. Dak was playing on the franchise tag after not being able to get a long-term deal done. And now several analysts have said he may have played his last game as a Cowboy. Former Cowboys cornerback Orlando Scandrick joining us this morning. Orlando, it's great to see you again to check in. Now, got to ask, what does this injury mean for Dak's future?
First of all, thanks you guys for having me on. I hope everybody's staying safe. But I think this injury is a blessing in disguise. I think Dak was allowed to show you a sample size of his full potential. I think he's going to make a full recovery. The Dallas Cowboys have a tremendous medical staff. And I think that this is going to set him up for a huge contract.
Go ahead, Skip.
So you think he'll come back next year and you think Dallas will give him a huge contract, or he'll become a free agent?
I think they have no choice. I think the way that their team is set up, the way that they drafted, the resources that they put into their offense, I think they start off initially tagging them to buy themselves some time to set up a huge contract.
Okay. And you think they'll give it to him because Shannon thinks somebody else is going to give it to him?
No, I don't see it. I mean, you got to think about, look how they paid Tony Romo. Look at their history. Dallas has never lost a player that they wanted to keep, regardless of salary cap. They have money for the things that they need money for. And then you look at their offensive line. Their offensive line's aging. They're facing some injuries on their offensive line. You would hate to have to start all the way over with a rookie quarterback, a younger quarterback with an aging offensive line.
Okay, so when you look back at what happened last year, do you believe that Dak should have taken the offer that was on the table ahead of last year? Because both Shannon and I thought it was a fair offer. It certainly wasn't insulting. Do you think that would have made it a smoother ride for Dak through last season and into this one?
Now, whether the offer was fair or not, I have no idea because I don't know what the offer was, but I know what the speculation of the numbers was. But when you're a fourth-round draft pick, and me being a later-round draft pick myself, you're always chasing. You're always chasing. You didn't get that initial money. So I think Dak bet on himself. I think it was a great bet. He made $31 million this year. What is that? Somewhere between 10 and 15 times more money than he made on his whole entire contract. I know it's definitely almost 15 times more than he made in a season. So when you look at the numbers, you're looking at $31 million this year. Another tag next year is starting at 37.8. So that's, what is that, 68? Almost 70 million. So you're looking at 70 million over 2 and being a free agent, or you're looking at a deal somewhere in the $35 to $40 million range.
Before I get to my question, do you know the address to Fox?
Yeah, I sure do. Okay,
well, send me my ish. Okay, you know what you owe me? You need to get that to me, homie. you need to do right by me.
What's he owe you?
He know. We ain't gonna talk about it, but he knows.
Skip lets you double up all the time on Mountain Dew. How many cases of
No, I ain't let you. See, there you go. That's between Skip and I. What Skip and I have is not what O and Shannon have. So you need to get at me.
And this was a bet on what?
We bet on everything because he always wanted to bet. Because he can't help himself. He tried to get me like you got me, but I got something for you coming up on Friday. I'm going to show you on Friday. I got something for you on Friday.
First.
Hey, but see, here's my thing. This is why I don't think they're going to, it's hard for them to franchise him. Because if what's being said is true about the cap is going to drop from $200 million to $175, at a $38 million franchise tag, puts Dak at 22% of their cap. Now, you always say you want to keep your highest paid player no more than 14% of your cap. Now, it's going to be some interesting situation because we see Tyron Smith is starting to wear down. At some point, he's starting to miss games last year, missed a couple of games the year before, and now he might be out for the entire, I think he's out for the entire season.
He is. So is Lyle Collins.
So is Lyle Collins. Yeah. So for me, I don't know if they're going to be able to, but that's the only way they're going to be able to keep him because I believe the 49ers are going to be in play for Dak Prescott, and I believe there are one or two other teams that's going to be in play. And you know how free agency work, you just need one team. You don't need 10. Man, nobody likes it. You need one team to love you, to put the pressure on the Cowboys to say, okay, this is what it's going to take. And a franchise, Dak don't want to play on the franchise tag because he saw what happened this year.
Absolutely, but playing in Dallas and knowing and receiving several extensions from them, they have a unique way of structuring their cap. They structure their cap where they're always available. They make in their language, in their contracts, they're always available to push money out. So they're always available to restructure, give you a large signing bonus, and bring another guy's cap number down. So I think I envision them doing that if they can't strike a long-term deal to get under the cap to allow themselves to franchise that.
Okay, so let's discuss just how good you believe Dak Prescott is and will be, because you say he's going to get the big money. Okay, so I always say he's a top 10 quarterback, but I have him 9th or 10th. He's the bottom of the top 10, which is still very good. It's good enough to get you to and win a Super Bowl if your supporting cast is good enough, and obviously your defense has to be much better than it is currently. But what do you think? You know him, you played with him, you saw him up close and personal. How good is he and how good will he be? Could he be a Mahomes? Could he be a Deshaun?
I don't know if he can be a Mahomes. Mahomes, that guy's special. But I've said this since I've came on TV. Whenever I talk about that, phenomenal human being, amazing athlete. Is he ever going to live up to his contract? How many guys do live up to their contract? When you're talking about paying a guy $40, $35 million a year, you're expecting to win Super Bowls every year. But when it comes to the intangibles of leading a football team, when it comes to being the face of a franchise, I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to get their money worth. As far as him as a quarterback, he has a huge arm. He's great with his feet, but he's going to need pieces around him as anybody else. Mahomes is a generational type player. Tom Brady, a generational type player. Peyton Manning, a generational type player.
Okay, so where would you rank Dak then? Is he top 10?
I rank Dak in to me, he has a lot of similarities as Russell Wilson, and you would like to say that maybe as his career progresses, he can turn into a Russell Wilson-esque player. I don't know if he's going to turn into Russell Wilson with the composure, with the clutchness, with the calmness, but a Russell Wilson-esque type player.
That's not a bad comparison, because when we look at Russ in the beginning, it was beast mode and Legion of Boom. And then slowly but surely, beast mode went away. The Legion of Boom dissipated. And now all of a sudden, it's Russ or bust, because their defense isn't very good, and everything that they do is based around what Russell Wilson making plays, be it scripted or improvisational. And so if Dak can somehow morph into that, they definitely have the potential to win Super Bowls if Dak can become Russell Wilson-esque.
I think we were starting to see a little bit of that this year, but the problem is the Cowboys are waiting to get down by 3 scores before they do it, and teams are just playing soft zone coverage.
Right.
Well, we'll get into like some of the problems that the Cowboys have on defense, but I was there and a part of a transition when we lost Rob Ryan and we turned it over to Monty Kiffin, and then we turned it over to Marinelli. It was a difficult switch. You were asking guys like DeMarcus Ware to put their hand in the dirt, Anthony Spencer to put their hand in the dirt, guys that have never done that their whole career in the NFL, and it was tough for them. And we had some really, really tough years. We had a really, really tough year the first year, Monty Kiffin, which caused him to be demoted.
So in the big picture, you believe, and by the way, quick point of reference, Dak beat Russell Wilson head-to-head in a playoff game. That's his one playoff win.
He didn't last year, though. He didn't this year, though.
Well, he hasn't. But again, you got that on your resume, right?
We 2-1 against you.
Okay, 2-1. But that was a playoff game, and he won it. And that's the only playoff game that he has won. So, Orlando, how much do you blame Dak for this consistent falling behind, where all last year and now into this year it got worse and worse, where they're behind. He's the comeback warrior of the ages. But how much did, Shannon always says, well, wasn't he the quarterback? Doesn't he have some blame? He have some responsibility to get them into a lead instead of falling into the hole every game?
Well, I'm a true believer in taking care of the ball. So I know Dak believes taking care of the ball. So, of course, he shares some blame in not taking care of the ball at times, and the fumbles, the interceptions, regardless if there were tips or overthrows or whatever they were. So I blame him in the sense of the turnover ratio, the turnover part of it. But from a philosophical way, the Dallas Cowboys have gotten away from everything that they built their team to be. They are a run-first team. They're a run-first play-action team. That's what they were when we were most successful. The year when Dak ripped off 13 wins, it was a run and play-action team. And now, all of a sudden, you get McCarthy and you get CeeDee Lamb, and then Gallup is amazing. You pay Amari Cooper all this money, and then we want to turn into a 3-receiver set, pass-first team with one of the best running backs in the NFL in the backfield.
What? Is that what?
Yeah, but you're the guy who said, oh, but the quarterback deserves $42 million a year.
Skip, I'm saying, but when you've had the success and his contract comes, and this is what I try to explain to people. When my contract comes due, it's like, okay, I've seen everybody else become the highest paid, and they're becoming the highest paid with 2 years left. How do you ask me to give you a discount when I have no years left and you asking me to navigate a minefield? Because remember, I played last year, in the last year of my contract, with no security. And now you want me to give you a discount when Goff didn't give his team a discount. Well, they did, but because they had 2 years left. You can't ask me to give you a discount if I don't have any years left on my contract.
Yeah, but let's look at it like this, Shannon. Let's break it down, Skip. I'm going to break it down to you like this. The Cowboys they didn't address the contract 2 years early, the first thing. So now here we are looking at, I'm in a lame duck year, I'm a bet on myself. So now I'm going into where I'm a free man and I'm looking at the open market. Dak did something that told everyone that he wasn't going to give a discount. He switched agents. He switched to a well-known agent, an agent that's well-known for getting all the money he can. So okay. I don't understand why a discount should even be discussed. At some point, Dak's got to say, okay, this amount of money is what it's going to take for me to be here. I want to be here. I get what you're saying from that aspect, but when you're talking about take $3, $4, $5 million less a year, I don't know about that. $3 million on a 5-year deal, that's $15 million. $4 million on a 5-year deal, that's $20. You get where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah. Okay, bottom line to this discussion. Shannon and I go back and forth about this all the time. Do you believe Jerry Jones loves Dak Prescott or just likes him as a player?
I believe Jerry Jones loves him. Jerry Jones falls in. This is the guy that falls in love and treats all players like his son. I believe Steven, who I think is a great man, I believe he's more here with it like this. It has to work with our cap. It has to work. We can't wreck our team to have one player. But I think when it comes to the face of the franchise, packing AT&T Stadium when this whole COVID thing is over and just keeping the Dallas Cowboys relevant and on primetime, Dak Prescott, you got to keep him. Jerry Jones don't draft players to let them go somewhere else and be great. You can't name me the last player that he's drafted and kept him for 4 or 5 years and let him go somewhere else and be great.
Yeah, but Dak Prescott's the last one that he hardballed and ain't paid him his money. That's 1 for 1. I can name that one.
Yeah, that's true. That's
no
true.
mercy.
Start Saturday strong with a battle in the Big 12 as Kansas takes on the hard-hitting Mountaineers of West Virginia. It all starts with the Big Noon kickoff pregame show at 10 a.m. Eastern, all part of Big Noon Saturday on Fox and the Fox Sports app. The Cowboys now lead the NFC East at 2-3, but will have to continue the season without Dak Prescott after he underwent successful ankle surgery Sunday night. 3-time Pro Bowler Andy Dalton will now take the starting role for the Cowboys, and Dalton has had 4 double-digit winning seasons as a starter, but is also 0-4 in playoff games. Orlando Scandrick still with us this morning. Orlando, how far can Andy Dalton take the Cowboys this season?
Do you want my biased opinion or my unbiased opinion?
Unbiased.
Nowhere. So we're going to look at Andy Dalton. I was going to give you his last 3 seasons, but I'm going to exclude last year because it was 2-14 and he was in and out the lineup. Is it fair to say that?
Yes.
So 2018, Cincinnati Bengals, 6-10. 2017, Cincinnati Bengals, 7-9. 2016 Bengals, 6-9-1. So that's exactly what Andy Dalton is. He's a overly average backup. He's a below average starter. I think the Cowboys have too many holes. They're missing both their tackles. They're missing their center. Their Pro Bowl center retired. The guy that they expected to be their center, and Joe Laney, he's hurting. The guard that they drafted in the second round from Texas, Connor Williams, has never turned into what they thought he would be. And their defense, their defense is struggling. They don't look comfortable. They don't look sound. They're struggling with the schematic switch, and I don't think Mike Nolan was the correct hire for what they had, for the pieces that they had in place on their defense.
I totally agree, and I think the thing is that It looks like it's going to look. To me, it seems like a two-team race between the Eagles and the Cowboys for the division, which would probably be the worst division historically in NFL history. This division, because somebody's going to probably win this division 7-9, 8-8. The question is, okay, the winner of this division is going to get a home playoff game. I just don't see a scenario where either one of these teams, be it Dallas or Eagles, can win a home playoff game considering what they are. And as you mentioned, the Cowboys, that defense is terrible. You gave up 27 points because Dak threw a pick six. You gave up 27 points to a team that was averaging 12 points a game.
Yeah, I don't really know how to call it. I mean, you got guys. You hear a lot of guys defending their play publicly. I love DeMarcus Lawrence. D-Law, if you listening to me, you're a hell of a player. You don't need to defend yourself publicly. You worked hard for the contract that you got. It's hard at anything to live up to everyone's expectations. Their secondary is really, really young. From a linebacking standpoint, Jalen is a great player, but he needs a steady rock player there with him. And Van Der Esch hasn't been able to stay healthy at all. Their front seven, they haven't been able to get the pressure that they thought they would get. You got Everson Griffin, who was a great player in Minnesota, who hasn't been able to give you the same type of production that he was giving you in Minnesota. And basically, your leading defensive lineman is Aldon Smith, a guy who hasn't played in 5 years. I think you look at McCarthy saying he'd rather play. He never wants to play one defense. He wants to get this thing right. Well, you giving up 30 points playing 30 defenses. So it seems like whatever you call is famine for the offense.
Okay, my turn, and I'm going to give you my biased perspective, starting with Andy Dalton. I think you were way too hard on Andy Dalton. His first 5 years in this league, when Cincinnati had some talent around him, he averaged 10 wins a year. He made 3 Pro Bowls. He got them to the playoffs 4 times, and yeah, he stunk it up 4 times, but at least he got there. Which is why I believe he can get this team to the playoffs, because the Dallas schedule is a touch easier than the Eagles schedule. What will you have to show for it? You'll get blown off the field in a home playoff game. That's probably what will happen. But can he get them to the play? You better believe he can, even without his 2 starting tackles. I think they'll do it very differently. They'll go with the Shannon Sharp method. They will feed the beast that is Ezekiel Elliott. He will eat and eat and eat. We might see 25 or 30 carries a game, but remember, Andy Dalton does have 3 potential Pro Bowl receivers to throw to and a decent tight end in Dalton Schultz to throw to. And my point is, if you're a running football team the way you want them to be, and you can get somebody open off play action anytime you want it, whatever you want, this man is accurate enough. He's been around enough that he will be able to get the ball where it's supposed to be in even big moments. Because I got to tell you, those 2 throws at the end of the game, he went Russell Wilson, albeit on the New York Giants, but he went Russell Wilson.
All right. Let's not go too far.
Well, seriously, can we see those quickly? I just want to see those 2 throws. The first one, he's on the dead run to his right and throws a seed to Gallup, who gets both feet in bounds. That was the play. That was a big-time throw. Under pressure, remember, you got to go 70 yards with 52 seconds left, and then he goes bombs away on the next play and throws it up where only Gallup could go up and snatch it. And I got to tell you, that those 2 took my breath away. That's
plus, Skip, the thing that running the ball does is it keeps your defense off the field.
It does.
That's the last thing that you want.
I'll buy that.
You want them playing as few minutes as possible until they get this corrected where they can have some resemblance of resistance. Possibly take the ball away.
What did they do Dak's rookie year? They led the league in time of possession because they were a running football team. Okay, I got it.
Can I interject? Can I interject here? So this is what you're going to start to see now. Now you're going to start to see, put the game on Andy Dalton's hands. Shannon, your offensive player. You're going to start to see a lot of bare front on defense. Beat me with your quarterback. When the year that we lost Tony Romo, before we were fortunate enough to get Dak in the 4th round, and we had to play with the likes of Stephen McGee. I think it was like Matt Castle. Matt Castle, a guy who was a Pro Bowler who had taken a New England team to the playoffs. you're going to start to see a lot of 8 and 9-man boxes and beat me with your quarterback. And then the problem is your defense can't stop anybody. So once you get down, it's going to be on the arm of Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton doesn't have the escapability of Dak Prescott. He doesn't have the playmaking ability of Dak Prescott. And if I was a little hard on Andy, forgive me. But my last 2 experiences with Andy were when I was with the Chiefs. We didn't have a good defense at all the year in 2018. And we ran them out of Arrowhead. Andy Dalton threw multiple interceptions, pick 6. And then if you go back before that, we played them in my last year in Dallas, and we ran them out of AT&T Stadium.
Okay, but when you have CeeDee Lamb, who's emerging as a star, and he's going to look at that Bear defense in the slot and say, I'm open. Yeah. Throw it to me.
Well,
Andy Dalton had a guy that's one of the best young slot receivers, and he's only overlooked because he plays in Cincinnati, and Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
He's an 1,200 yard a year receiver. He had AJ Green, this guy's been to the Pro Bowl every year he's been healthy.
Okay.
I just think it's gonna be tough. I think that you're gonna try and run the ball and try and take care of the ball, but on defense, you can't stop a nosebleed. I don't know how you're gonna beat anybody. And when it comes down to it, whose defense is better? Philadelphia Eagles.
They're better. I would agree. Okay. Speaking of the Cowboys secondary, you said they're young. They're also just not very good. So should they have taken a shot and plunged and risked signing Earl Thomas?
I don't think so. I think the risk is not worth the reward. Whatever happened, Earl, it soured for him in Seattle, where he turned out to be flipping off the sideline in his last game. It soured for him in Baltimore. I mean, a fight is one thing. You normally don't get released for a fight or punching a teammate, so that just tells you that it was much, much deeper than that. It was Shannon, you played in that Baltimore locker room. That culture is everything.
It is.
And Ozzie, he's built a culture that it's all about being a Raven. So it was something much deeper. And I hope whatever it is, Earl gets another shot. But he had a really rough offseason with the incident, the family incident, and then he had the incident with the teammate. I think it was more than that, and it was enough for them to say, even though we owe you $10 million, enough is enough.
Okay, but Orlando, he made the Pro Bowl last year. He is a made man. He gives you some presence in the secondary.
He does.
You know, where at least you can trust he might make a couple of plays a game that the 2 safeties that I have to watch every Sunday are just not capable of making.
But the problem is you don't want to teach those young guys. You don't want to get those young guys into bad ways. You don't want to bring bad culture, because that's really, really, really hard to fix. It's not even worth a Pro Bowl. And I just don't think that Earl Thomas changes that defense. That defense has got problems from the front to the back.
That's why they wanted him out of Seattle. That's why they wanted him out of Baltimore, because they didn't want the young guys to say, oh, if I make a Pro Bowl, I'll become an all-pro. This is how I can act? Oh, no. They said, no, we got to get you up out of here. And remember, Skip, it was reported that the Houston Texans met as a team and said, no, please do not bring this guy in our locker room. Oh, I don't know about you, but I've played 14 years. I've never heard of a situation where players go to a general manager or ownership, head coach, and says, nah, we don't want that guy in this locker room.
Never heard of it. 12 years in the NFL, played with guys that were highly controversial. Terrell Owens, Pac-Man Jones, Tank Johnson. We had never had a situation where we voted a guy on or off the team. And whatever it is, it's deeper than we see on the surface. And I just don't think it would have been the right move from a financial standpoint. You don't want to tie yourself financially to something that probably won't help you or won't get you over the hump. But Skip, I agree with you. That defense is bad. And the only thing that you have to say, we talk about hustle plays. Oh, look at this play. This guy's getting beat like he stole something. He's getting beat like a drum, but he's hustling. They just don't make plays at all.
And yet, despite all that, we are going to win the least. We are going to win it.
Celebrate that. Celebrate that.
I will. It'll be a cubic zirconium Eastern championship, just like your LeBron championship.
We got a lot of that going around right now. Orlando, good to have you. We'll check in with you very soon.
Run that to me.
While LeBron is still 2 titles behind Michael Jordan, the King has made it to the finals 4 more times. One article on the GOAT debate points out that appearing in 10 finals adds weight to LeBron's side of the argument and is something that MJ cannot match. The final verdict of the piece is that if you need one guy to win one game, MJ seems the obvious choice. But if it's for the entirety of a career and volume of accomplishments, then LeBron is probably the answer. Shannon, does this conclusion bolster LeBron's GOAT case?
For me, Skip, you know, I've been set in my ways. I believe LeBron James is the GOAT.
GOAT in high school, GOAT in rookie year.
No. I don't believe. No, I believe. I believe Kareem is the greatest high school player because he lost one game in high school. He lost 2 games in college. Arguably, so we could debate that. But for me, Skip,
no, I'm talking about he was the all-time GOAT in high school.
Yeah.
Right?
LeBron. I mean, LeBron came out. You know, I mean, we had this expectations.
Yes.
We have this level of expectation for LeBron that we've never had for any other superstar.
Okay.
And I believe he's exceeded even our most lofty of expectations. Skip, look, in this article, I read this article, and it said basically he's played well enough in 8 of the 10 finals to win those games. Basically, they said the Mavericks and the 2007 when they lost to the Spurs. Now, it's hard for me to see a scenario in which a 22-year-old beats, ain't no arguing, the greatest power forward to ever to live, and 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers in Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. I don't believe any other guy, 22-year-old, could have gotten this, even if you want to say the East was the least, I don't believe any other 22-year-old could have gotten this Cavaliers team to 2007. And if you look at when he lost, Skip, Michael Jordan is 6-0. No debating that, no arguing that, and there's nothing to argue. But it's hard for me to say that any of the teams that he beat in the finals were better than the Kevin Durant, Steph Curry-led Warriors team. It's hard for me to say that they were better than the 2014 or the 2007 Spurs. Any of the teams that he beat, that's not to diminish them, because if you're there, you deserve to be there. But it's hard for me to see a scenario where the Supersonics, where the Trailblazers, the 91 Lakers, or Utah was better than the 17-18 Warriors or the 14-7 Spurs.
How about the 98 Pacers? How about Reggie Miller's team? How about it?
They'd have got beaten one. They'd have got swept.
Stop it.
Hold on. So hold on.
They took Jordan to 7.
I want to make sure
and I watched every drop of it courtside.
Are you saying that the Pacers, the 98 Pacers, are better than the 17-18 Warriors?
No, we're talking about the Spurs. I think they were right in the same ballpark with the Spurs.
They'd beat the Spurs?
But yeah. It would have gone back and forth. It would have been a 7-game series.
Yeah, they went back. No, it was it was scheduled for 7, but it'd have been over in 5. And they went from San Antonio up 2-0. They went back to Indiana. They'd have won 1, and then the next 2, what you call them, would have won.
Reggie Miller and the 2 Davises and Rick Smits and Chris Mullin and Mark Jackson and Jalen Rose. I can keep Travis Best. That team was loaded.
That was a young Duncan. That was young Duncan before the knee.
Okay. Well, now I'm arguing against my Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. And you love Tim Duncan.
Listen, the East was the beast. Jordan had to fight through the East every year just to get to those teams, and you're underestimating all those teams that he played.
Yeah, but what you're doing
Barkley's Suns were loaded. What did they win, like 70 games that year?
What you're doing is that people have made this mistake. They say physicality. Was the league more physical? Yes, but physicality and talent are 2 different things. There was 1 Hall of Famer on that Knicks. There were 1 Hall of Famer on those Heat teams. There were 2 Hall of Famers on the Indiana Pacers, where LeBron is trying to beat the big three Celtics. He tried to beat 4 with the Spurs in 14. He tried to beat 4 in 17-18 with Golden State.
Yep. All I know is this piece, this analysis concludes that basically 1 game for your life, it's not even close. You want Michael Jeffrey
But that
Jordan.
1 game is an accumulation of games.
You want cold-blooded basketball killer. You don't want nice guy LeBron. You want the assassin that was Michael Jordan. You know it, and I know it. 1 game for your life, I know what you would do.
Give me the GOAT, because I already know, Skip, I'm always this. I can live with the results if you make the right play. Whatever it is, Skip, whatever it is, whatever we decide, whatever it is, I'm going to live whatever LeBron does because I know it's the right thing.
If my life is on the line, I want the guy who says, give me the damn ball and get out of my way because I will score this ball.
LeBron James,
I will figure this out.
LeBron James says, hold on, Skip. This is the same guy that dropped the double nickel and he passed, he had a shot, and he passed to Bill Whittington. Why would he do that?
Because he was standing under the goal unguarded. Unguarded.
Oh, why would he pass
He just lobbed it to him and he dunked it.
Why would he pass the ball to John Paxson?
It wasn't the game to decide the finals. You know it, and I know
This game didn't decide the finals.
Yeah.
It didn't
My
decide.
favorite picture is Scotty standing on the wing at Utah in Game 6. I'm open. And Jordan's like, stop it. And he goes up and holds the pose.
Think about this. When LeBron James gets in that situation, they bring double. They didn't even bring the double team. That shows you how much respect they had for him. They didn't even bring anybody to help Byron Russell. Look at what they did with Jimmy Butler.
It was a broken play. He stole the ball from Karl Malone in the corner and dribbled up the court.
Hold on.
They didn't have time to set up a defense.
You can send help. You can send help. You can come get the ball out of his hands.
Hey, if I took 98 Jordan versus LeBron of, let's say, 2015, that was probably his most epic moment.
Let's see. We've been at our apex since 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We've been at our apex longer than anybody.
Whatever LeBron you want, the nice guy LeBron, one-on-one, Jordan would have absolutely annihilated him. He's not too small. The 98 one was strong, thanks to the great Tim Grover.
Right here, right there, too little. We just back him down.
Okay,
back him down.
If you want to do longevity, I'll give you longevity because LeBron has now played 81 more playoff games, so he's just racking up numbers, 81 more than Michael Jordan. And he got to cakewalk through the Eastern Conference, 9 times to the finals?
Well, Skip, you know
9 times.
Well, Skip, he wouldn't have had 81 had he not gotten swept. Usually what you do is that you don't get swept. And then you just progress, and then you get to play more playoff games.
You're talking about the same LeBron who got swept twice and gentlemen swept twice in the finals?
Your guy got swept. See, what has happened is that what people have done is better for you not to make the finals as opposed to make the finals and lose. Because because Michael Jordan was getting swept in the first round, so he couldn't lose in the finals because he wasn't even getting to the finals. So that's what we've done. We've said, LeBron James, we would rather you get swept. We would rather you lose before you get to the finals than lose in the finals because that's what you've done. He's 6-0. But he only got 6 times. Why? If you got to go more than 6 times.
Well, he would have been 8 in a row if he hadn't been forced to go play baseball for 2 years.
Look at Magic. Magic went 9 times. Kareem went 10 times. You mean to tell me to go only win 6 little times?
Well, he would have gone as many times as he wanted to go, and he quit because Phil got fired. So he retired for 3 years that were still in his prime.
Well, if you that guy, it don't matter who your coach is.
Yeah.
If you what you tell me you are, you know into what coach.
What angers me the most is all these blind witnesses out there led by you try to scrub the record clean and ignore the fact that LeBron's record is just littered with epic fails, starting with that Boston series, the last go-round in Cleveland, and his owner accused him of quitting, and he needed some insider to leak the story. He had to be sedated before games 4, 5, and 6. Are you kidding me?
So I'm just so I'm hearing you correctly. So when Michael was losing to the Pistons 3 straight years, he played his absolute best every single game.
Yeah, and they had to write a book about it. Sam Smith did, called The Jordan Rules, because they needed rules to control him.
I don't know who wrote the book.
And they played football.
This is what I know. Jordan is in the book. Jordan is in the highlights. Walking up the court with his head slumped.
I have never seen a superstar meltdown like the 2011 meltdown LeBron suffered against the Dallas Mavericks in 4, 5, and 6 in the finals.
Yeah.
I have never seen anything like LeBron melting down at the end of Game 6 of the 2013 finals and get saved at the bell by Ray Allen's greatest clutch shot I have ever seen. I've never seen a Jordan team get blown off the floor by a record finals margin the way LeBron's was in 2014 by my Spurs. And I have never, ever seen Jordan melt down at the end of regulation and go pout at the end of the bench away from his
JR
teammates.
was sitting right there. Don't do that. JR was sitting right there. JR was sitting right there.
3 seats over.
There was one seat in between them.
And then he quit. He pouted and quit in overtime. Yes, he did. These are epic fails.
Right now. Shannon is not worried because he is still celebrating that championship. Kevin Durant is defending his 2 titles after critics have called him out for joining up with the already championship caliber Warriors. When asked if he took the easy route to get a ring, Durant said no and that he earned both of them. So, Shannon, did he earn his rings with Golden State?
He earned the ring, Skip. He was the best player on the team that won 2 titles. And winning those rings, Skip, it validated them. No one can no longer say he's the best player without a championship. But I believe, this is mine, I could be the only one in this camp, Skip. I believe winning a title in Brooklyn would do more for Kevin Durant's legacy than winning those 2 in Golden State.
Well, okay, but again, he was by far the biggest reason that Golden State got over the hump after they'd gotten upset by LeBron and company. You told me that Draymond went sobbing into the parking lot, calling Kevin, saying, "We need you." They recruited him like he was a high school player.
KD, you're not going to be able to convince the people that you didn't take the easy way out. You earned those rings. You validated by being Finals MVP. Let it go. Now focus on getting one for the Brooklyn Nets, and now we're going to have a different discussion.
Okay.
But Go James. But Go James got this thing right now.
LeBron's going to have to be ready for
got it a
Katie.
lot.
That is it for Undisputed. We're back same time tomorrow morning. Guys, have a great day.